Welcome to the story. Don't forget to like, subscribe and support me. Jack Thompson had no idea what was happening. One moment, he was lounging in his backyard, flipping burgers on his rusty old grill, and the next, a massive, saucer-shaped ship had descended from the sky. He'd never seen anything like it. The thing looked like a giant silver disc, gleaming under the sunlight as it hovered above his house. He dropped his spatula, dumbfounded. "Hey!" Jack shouted, although he had no idea why. What did one shout at a spaceship? Maybe welcome? But before he could think of anything better, a bright blue beam shot out from the bottom of the craft, and before he knew it, his body was lifted off the ground. His legs kicked helplessly in the air as the backyard and grill shrank beneath him. Whoa, wait a second, Jack protested, but the beam wasn't listening. His words were lost as he was sucked up into the craft, his limbs paralyzed, his vision dimming as some kind of strange, alien force overtook him. The next thing he knew, he was lying flat on a cold metal floor, blinking against harsh fluorescent lights. The air smelled sterile, like a hospital, and a strange humming filled his ears. He sat up, rubbing the back of his head, only to find himself staring into the fascia, or what he assumed was the fascia of an alien. It was tall, spindly, and had at least 6 arms, each one holding a different strange instrument. There were 5 of them. Jack counted, blinked in sequence, focusing on him with an intensity that made him nervous. Hi? Jack stammered. The creature's mouth, or what looked like a mouth, it twitched. "You are Jack Thompson, Earth's most beautiful representative." Jack blinked. "What? No, you've got the wrong guy." "I'm Noda." "Incorrect," the alien interrupted, not missing a beat. "We intercepted your planet's transmissions. You were chosen." "What? Chosen for what?" Jack's mind raced, trying to figure out what kind of bizarre misunderstanding had landed him here. "I wasn't chosen for anything. I was just grilling burgers." The alien ignored his protest and continued, "You have been selected to participate in the Cosmic Beauty Pageant. It is an honor bestowed upon the most aesthetically pleasing individuals from each species in the known universe. You are Earth's chosen one." Jack stared in disbelief. "Cosmic what now?" Before he could get an answer, another alien, this one smaller, with a bulbous head and skin that shimmered like oil on water, entered the room. It handed Jack what looked like a sparkling jumpsuit, the fabric shimmering in the light. "Your attire for the competition," it said in a monotone voice. Jack gawked at the suit. It was ridiculously skin-tight, covered in sequins, and had a high collar like something straight out of a 70s disco. "I'm not wearing this." "You must," the smaller alien said. "The pageant begins soon." "No, I think you're missing the point," Jack said, standing up and holding his hands out in protest. "I didn't sign up for any pageant. I'm not the most beautiful person on Earth. Trust me, I'm not even the most beautiful person on my street. This is a mistake. I want to go home." The tall alien tilted its head, its eyes blinking in rapid succession. "Refusal to participate will result in Earth's disqualification and subsequent sanctions. Your species will be denied entry into all intergalactic alliances, trade agreements, and diplomatic relations for the next millennia." Jack's heart sank. "Wait, what? You're saying if I don't compete in this beauty contest, Earth gets punished?" "Correct." Jack sighed, rubbing his temples. This was some kind of cosmic joke. But as he looked around the sterile, alien room, he realized there was no waking up from this. It was real. And if Earth's future somehow hinged on his participation in an intergalactic beauty pageant, well, there wasn't much of a choice, was there? "Fine," Jack groaned, snatching the ridiculous jumpsuit from the smaller alien. "But I'm not promising I'll win." It turned out, Jack was in way over his head. The Cosmic Beauty Pageant wasn't just about looking pretty. Oh no, it was much worse than that. The competition was held on a massive space station, hovering in the outer rim of some distant galaxy, where representatives from countless alien species gathered. The space station itself was a sight to behold, an enormous structure glittering with light, spanning miles and filled with thousands of spectators. It was like the Olympics, but for beauty, and forwarder. Jack stood in a lineup of contestants, trying to make sense of the insanity around him. To his left was an alien that looked like a giant gelatinous blob, its body shimmering with an iridescent glow. To his right was something with 10 legs and no discernible face, but its legs were adorned with jeweled bracelets that sparkled under the station's lights. "Welcome, competitors!" a voice boomed through the station's loudspeakers. Jack looked up to see a floating hologram of 2 creatures, each with at least 8 tentacles and 4 eyes. They were the pageant hosts, apparently. "You are about to embark on a journey through the galaxy's most prestigious event, the Cosmic Beauty Pageant," the host on the left announced, its voice smooth yet unsettling. "Prepare to showcase your species' finest attributes, as you compete in a series of challenges designed to test not only your beauty but your creativity, charisma, and poise." "Poise? Charisma?" Jack muttered under his breath. "I'm just a guy from New Jersey." The first round began with a bang. Literally, a huge gong sounded, and the contestants were ushered onto a stage the size of a football field, surrounded by thousands of cheering alien spectators. Jack's heart raced. How had he ended up here? All he wanted was to grill some burgers and maybe crack open a cold beer. Now, he was about to compete against beings from across the universe in a beauty pageant. "Round 1, the voice boomed again. "Talent display." Jack groaned inwardly. Talent? What kind of talent was he supposed to show? He wasn't a singer or dancer. He wasn't a gymnast or an artist. He was just Jack. The other contestants went first, and Jack watched in awe and terror as they performed incredible feats. The gelatinous blob from earlier began shifting its body into various shapes, forming intricate sculptures that glowed with a radiant light. The 10-legged creature performed a kind of acrobatic dance, its legs moving in perfect synchronization, each step creating a pattern of lights on the stage. Jack's turn came all too quickly. The spotlight was on him, and he stood frozen, staring out at the sea of alien faces. What the hell was he supposed to do? With nothing else to lose, Jack took a deep breath and stepped forward. Hey everyone," he said, his voice shaky. "I'm Jack, from Earth." A murmur ran through the crowd. "So, I don't have any crazy talents like these other guys," Jack continued, rubbing the back of his neck nervously. "But, I can tell a joke." The crowd was silent. The judges, 3 bizarre creatures with multiple eyes and antennae, stared at him blankly. "All right, here goes. Why don't aliens eat clowns?" Silence. "Because they taste funny." The crowd remained silent for a moment, and Jack's stomach sank. He was doomed. But then, one of the aliens, a small, furry creature in the front row, burst out laughing. It started as a giggle, but soon, more and more aliens joined in. The laughter spread, and soon the whole stadium was filled with the sound of strange, otherworldly chuckles. Jack blinked in surprise. They liked it? The judges exchanged glances, their antennae twitching. One of them gave a slight nod. "Well," Jack muttered under his breath, stepping off the stage. "That went better than I thought." Back in the preparation room, Jack collapsed onto a bench, his heart still racing. He couldn't believe he'd made it through the first round. Maybe humor really was a universal language. "Not bad, Earthling," a voice said from behind him. Jack turned to see one of the other contestants, an alien with smooth, silvery skin and large, expressive eyes, approaching him. It was humanoid in shape, but its features were distinctly alien, with a long, thin nose and ears that curved upward like horns. Thanks," Jack replied, unsure if it was a compliment or an insult. The alien smiled, a strange but surprisingly friendly gesture. "I am Zarnix from the planet Velar. You're quite amusing for a human. Most of your kind are. How do I put this? Less entertaining." Jack chuckled. "Yeah, well, I'm not exactly your typical human. But what about you? What's your talent? Shape-shifting or something? Zarnix shook its head. No, I specialize in quantum harmonics. Jack blinked. Quantum what now? Zarnix smiled again. It's complicated. Jack sat there, staring at Zarnax, trying to wrap his head around quantum harmonics. Whatever it was, it sounded far more impressive than telling jokes. But then again, Jack figured, he wasn't here to impress anyone. He was just trying to survive this ridiculous competition and not embarrass Earth too badly in the process. The next round was announced not long after, and Jack found himself ushered onto the stage again, alongside his competitors. He could feel the tension in the air. This time, the challenge was even more absurd. Round 2. The announcer's voice echoed through the arena. Fashion from home. Jack's heart sank. Fashion? He hadn't exactly come prepared for this. He glanced down at his sparkling jumpsuit, which he hadn't chosen and definitely didn't consider representative of Earth's fashion. Meanwhile, the other contestants began to step forward, each displaying outfits that were beyond anything Jack could comprehend. The gelatinous blob had shifted itself into a pulsating mass of colors, its body rippling like an ocean of light. The 10-legged creature wore what looked like a living, breathing garment made of tiny creatures that skittered across its legs, creating dazzling patterns as they moved. Another contestant, a being made entirely of crystal, glowed from within, its outfit refracting light into a kaleidoscope of brilliance. And then there was Jack. He took a deep breath and stepped forward, trying to act confident despite the absurdity of it all. He had nothing and no fancy alien tech, no glowing crystals, no living creatures crawling over him. Just a guy in a shiny jumpsuit. This is what we wear on Earth, Jack said, gesturing awkwardly to his outfit. You know, casual wear. The silence was deafening. Jack could feel the eyes of the judge as the hundreds of them bearing down on him. He braced himself for the inevitable ridicule, but instead, there was a murmur of intrigue. The judges conferred with one another, their antennae twitching. Jack caught snippets of their conversation, though he couldn't understand the alien language. Still, the tone seemed interested. Unexpected, one judge finally said, speaking in a strange, robotic voice. Earth's fashion is minimalist. Bold. Bold? Jack thought. He wasn't sure if that was good or bad, but at this point, he'd take whatever he could get. Points for originality, another judge added, their multiple eyes blinking in unison. Jack blinked. Did he just get praised for wearing a jumpsuit? He almost laughed out loud but managed to keep a straight face as he stepped back into line with the other contestants. This whole thing was getting more and more surreal by the minute. As the round concluded, Jack found himself once again back in the preparation room, trying to process what had just happened. He couldn't believe he was actually still in the running. Part of him wanted to believe it was just dumb luck, but another part of him couldn't shake the feeling that maybe just maybe he was starting to figure out how to play the game. Zarnix approached him again, this time with a look of genuine curiosity. You have a strange way of surviving these challenges, Earthling, Zarnix said, its silvery eyes studying Jack closely. Your methods are unconventional. Yeah, well, I'm just making it up as I go along, Jack replied with a shrug. What about you? You seem to be handling things pretty well. Zarnix tilted its head, considering Jack's words. I've competed in many galactic tournaments, but this is different. The judges are unpredictable. Their criteria seem to shift with each round. Jack nodded. Tell me about it. I thought I was done for with that fashion round. Zarnix smiled or at least, Jack thought it was a smile. Perhaps unpredictability is your strength, Jack Thompson of Earth. Before Jack could respond, the announcement for the next round boomed through the station once more. Round 3, Symmetry. Jack groaned inwardly. Symmetry? He wasn't even sure what that meant in an alien beauty pageant context, but he was pretty sure he wasn't going to like it. As the contestants lined up on the stage again, Jack watched in growing horror as his competitors began to showcase their symmetrical perfection. The crystal being from earlier split itself into two identical halves, each reflecting the other in a perfect mirror image. The 10-legged creature reconfigured its limbs, creating an intricate pattern of balance that left the audience in awe. The gelatinous blob, of course, simply morphed into a perfectly symmetrical sphere, its surface rippling with light. Jack, on the other hand, had nothing. He looked down at his very human, very asymmetrical body and tried to think of something or anything that could help him survive this round. And then, inspiration struck. It was ridiculous. It was stupid. But it was all he had. Jack quickly grabbed a mirror from the preparation room and stepped forward, holding it up next to himself. "Behold!" he declared, angling the mirror so that his reflection created a perfect, if artificial, symmetry. Earth's finest symmetry. The crowd was silent for a moment, and Jack braced himself for the laughter that was sure to come. But to his surprise, a few scattered chuckles echoed through the arena, followed by a ripple of applause. The judges conferred again, their voices low and indecipherable. Jack could feel the tension mounting as they deliberated. Finally, one of the judges, a being with no fewer than 6 eyes and a crown of floating orbs around its head, spoke. "Creativity in the face of adversity," it said, its voice slow and deliberate. "Earth's representative shows resourcefulness." Points awarded. Jack let out a breath he didn't realize he'd been holding. He'd survived another round. Somehow, against all odds, he was still in this. By the time the final round approached, Jack was mentally and physically exhausted. He'd been through challenges that he couldn't have imagined in his wildest dreams, and somehow, he'd managed to scrape by each time. But now, as the announcer's voice echoed through the arena, he knew the end was near. Final round, true galactic beauty. Jack had no idea what that meant, but he had a feeling it was going to be the toughest challenge yet. The contestants were lined up once more, but this time, the atmosphere was different. The crowd was quieter, more focused. Even the judges seemed more serious, their eyes studying each contestant with a new intensity. One by one, the aliens stepped forward, revealing their true forms. The gelatinous blob shifted into a massive, glowing entity, its body pulsating with energy. The crystal being shattered into a million pieces, each shard reflecting a different spectrum of light. The 10-legged creature unfurled into a being of pure elegance, its movements smooth and hypnotic. And then it was Jack's turn. He stepped forward, his heart pounding in his chest. What was he supposed to do? He had no glowing form, no ability to shapeshift or transform into something extraordinary. He was just Jack. But as he stood there, staring out at the sea of alien faces, he realized something. This wasn't about trying to be something he wasn't. He'd survived this far by being himself, by embracing the absurdity of the situation and rolling with it. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough. Taking a deep breath, Jack stepped forward. "Look, I'm not like the rest of you," he began, his voice steady despite the nerves twisting in his stomach. "I don't have glowing skin or 10 legs. I can't shift into a million different shapes or create light shows with my body. I'm just a human. But what I've learned in this competition is that beauty isn't about what you look like. It's about who you are, how you carry yourself, how you treat others, and how you handle the challenges life throws at you." The crowd was silent, watching him closely. Jack took another deep breath and continued. "On Earth, we have a saying, a beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It means that beauty isn't just about physical appearance. It's about what makes each of us unique. So, if I have to show you my true form, then here it is. I'm Jack Thompson from Earth, and I'm not perfect. But I think that's what makes me beautiful." For a moment, the arena was completely still. Jack could feel his heart hammering in his chest as he waited for the reaction. And then, slowly but surely, a ripple of applause began to spread through the crowd. It grew louder and louder until the entire arena was filled with cheers and clapping. Jack blinked in disbelief. They liked it? The judges conferred one last time, their antennae twitching, their eyes blinking in rapid succession. Finally, the lead judge spoke. Earth's representative has shown the true meaning of beauty, it declared. Not through appearance, but through character. Points awarded. Jack exhaled in relief. He wasn't sure if he'd won the competition, but at that moment, he didn't care. He'd made it through, and he'd done it by being himself. When the final results were announced, Jack wasn't the overall winner, but he didn't mind. He'd been awarded a special prize at the Spirit of the Cosmos Award for his creativity, humor, and resilience throughout the competition. It wasn't first place, but it felt like a victory all the same. As Jack prepared to return to Earth, he couldn't help but feel a sense of pride. He'd gone through something completely insane and had come out the other side with his dignity intact and maybe even a little bit of intergalactic fame. Back home, things were never quite the same. Jack became something of a celebrity, not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. Alien species from all corners of the universe reached out, curious about the strange human who had competed in their beauty pageant. And while Jack still didn't consider himself beautiful in the traditional sense, he learned something important. True beauty wasn't about what you looked like, it was about embracing who you were, flaws and all. And that, Jack figured, was something worth celebrating.